Okay, in the name of the Father and Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God, Amen. Welcome everyone to our very first introduction to Bohairic Coptic. I'm glad I see a good number of people, including people that I already recognize. So nice to see you guys again. Just FYI, this session is recorded starting now. I'll start with a few introductions, and then if you guys are comfortable, you can go ahead and also introduce yourself, and then go through the course. We're gonna actually go through some exercises and then go through the grammar. I'm hoping to keep this in 1 hour ish. By ish, I mean 5-10 more minutes, not too long. So we'll always plan to start on time so we can end on time, just to respect people's time. And as we progress more, the content will get a little bit more dense. So we will be breaking a single lesson into multiple sessions. So hopefully it's not too much work for people and based on people's commitment. So it should be something to be done on the side. Usually it's take me about an hour a week, but as we progress more towards the end, it takes me about 3 hours a week of studying. But that means also the lessons can get shorter, so you actually get to do less work throughout the week. All right, quick intros about many things. My name is Mark. I'm not a scholar. I don't have a degree, no PhD, no master, nothing. But I've just been loving Coptic. Not sure where it started. I think I was just born in it. I just born liking it for some reason. I did do my 23andMe test, and I do have 100% Coptic. So this can explain why, I guess. Part of explaining the liturgy is part of understanding loving Coptic isn't just limited to understanding liturgy and liturgical text, because this is actually a later part of our history. A huge part of me is the connection to Egyptian culture and Egyptian heritage. Basically, the ancient Egyptian and the Christian Egyptianity that we carry through as Copts. I start with learning Bohairic, just as like any good deacon at some point in your church, they just teach you Coptic, so it's very basic, just so you can read the hymns. Then I met, and then in my high school, met a servant. His name is Uncle Rami. I don't know what he is doing right now, but he instilled this love of Coptic more for me. He just knew it very well, and he just loved it and spoke about it with love. So I guess I just caught it from him. And then I went on a hiatus without doing a lot of Coptic then for some time. And then up until a couple of years ago, like 2 years ago, I found some video about some Coptic magic. And I was like, wow, this is super cool. So I started learning Coptic again and actually got into Sahidic Coptic, which tends to be the not liturgical Coptic, the more literary Coptic, where you can find everything written in it. We have way more corpus of Sahidic dialects than Bohairic, and I'll explain a bit more about the dialects in a bit. I spent more time in Sahidic. I used the two main books that people use. One of them is called Lamdins, which is a book that I really, really liked. And the book we are going to be using now is going to be based on Lamdins. It's just translated to Bohairic. And the course that was following recently is called Introduction to Sahidic Coptic, which has its logo. It's like main screen at the far bottom, at the bottom right. So I basically just copied the same idea. And it's also a way for me to get more into Bohairic. The way we structured this course, here, it will be very similar to how other people are learning ancient Egyptian. So there's a person called Aurelio Larotta is conducting a very similar class for late Egyptian, so more like the late stage of the hieroglyphs. And the way they do it is you don't have a teacher. I'm not going to be your teacher. There's no resident teacher, but you have a course lead. So basically, every lesson or every class, we go through the exercises. The course lead just sends out the exercise and reviews the lesson, and then reviews the exercise with people, which is why it's like when you expect people participation, it's just like we're all in this together. We're all learning this together. I have been spending most of my time doing Sahidic recently. Bohairic was used to be basic, but also the church. So there's a lot of influence and that's where my knowledge mostly comes from for Bohairic. So we're going to be doing this together. But given that I've done almost the same book in Sahidic, made me choose this book if we were going to start doing this together. So yeah, be ready to do your homework, study at home, and then we just come here to discuss. There's no time limit. We don't have to finish it. Most people who want to get deeper into Bohairic eventually just do it through university, whether it's through ACTS or U of T here in Canada. but then they cram everything into the 3 or 4 months. So this book is actually used in one of the universities, and I believe they just do all in 3 months, which is not a very good idea. Coptic is not an easy language, in the sense that, unlike English now, everything is just, I will, he will, they will. That's not how it works in Coptic. It's more ancient, it's more original, in the sense that you can get a lot of nuance with the meaning on how we structure a sentence. So, but once you get used to it, it becomes intuitive. I mean, the Copts used to speak it, and then people are learning it now. So it's not that big of a deal once you start learning it. That's it. You can probably see I love to talk about Coptic, talk about it all day. I was teaching it in university, in like in Sunday schools, like on a small scale. I had one course uploaded on YouTube, also very, like, it takes like 3 letters per day. We're gonna go a little bit of a faster pace, so we're actually gonna focus on grammar, so that you can have to do your homework at home. And yeah, so it's easy for you to catch up. This will go on YouTube, so it's easy for everyone to catch up, and it should be hopefully delightful experience. What else? With respect to dialects, just a quick intro. Actually, we'll get to dialects in a bit. So that's the introduction about the course. Does anyone have any question about the course and the structure of the course?
How long will it go for?
The original book has 30 lessons. The original course did it in 36 classes. So at least 36 classes, but I think we'll go for more because I don't want to cram it.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
thank you.
Hopefully it's low effort. Well, by low effort, I mean an hour a week. Long effort for me was like 3 hours a week. I was hour for 3 days. That's how I used to do it when I did it a little bit more near the end, I guess. A little bit more, just more things. That's it. So that's introduction about me, the course. How about we do a very quick intro for the people we have here? You don't have to. Everything in this course is optional, but I encourage you to participate. We can go in order. I have it alphabetically. Just give me. I'll give you 5 seconds. If you don't want to speak within 5 seconds, I'll just assume you don't want to. Perfectly fine. And maybe your name, where you're from, if you want anything interesting that you want to mention, like, I don't know what you do, if you've done Coptic before, and what else? And yeah, why do you want to learn Coptic, and what's your end goal? A quick thing about the end goal of this course is not just to read. The reading will be like the first lesson. It will be you look at a text and you can actually see what it means. You can find the nuance of little things. You can see the word humble means how the word humble is meant in Coptic. How when you read the prodigal son, when he says, and he returned to himself, what actually structure is used in Coptic. And I was like, wow, it's kind of deep. So you actually can read primary text in Coptic with a very good fluency to some extent. So you can open the book of Luke or Matthew in the New Testament. By third way through this, you can read the first chapter of Matthew with no problem, and then finishing this, you can read the first 3 chapters with no problem. The whole thing is still introduction to Coptic. All right, so let's start alphabetically. Just have it on my list. Adam.
Yeah, hi. I'm Adam. I'm from Kitchener, and I really enjoy Coptic in general. Like I've been teaching myself Coptic for a while. You know, I can read it and I can understand some of it, and yeah, I just want to learn more and get really deep into it.
Awesome, thank you. Feel free to have your camera open if you want. Anyone? Carol.
Hi, I'm Carol. I'm from Mississauga. My knowledge of Coptic is like pretty much limited to like the ﷺ or liturgy, but I just think it's a cool language, so I wanted to learn more about it.
Awesome. David Thomas.
Hey, I'm David. I'm from Halifax. I've been trying to learn Coptic for the past couple of years. At this point, I'm comfortable reading, especially the stuff that you kind of have memorized, so ﷺ and liturgy. And my end goal is to increase my comprehension and just be able to read better and understand better.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you, Joseph. Right, Matthew Zaki.
Hi, I'm from Mississauga. My Coptic knowledge is like very limited, but I'm hoping to work on that.
Awesome. Mikey.
Hey, I'm Mikey. I'm from Mississauga as well. Main reason why I'm here is because I feel like a lot of the hymns I sing, I don't know, I can't comprehend them. If the English words weren't there, and I don't like that. So, trying to learn.
Cool. Monica.
Hi, I'm Monica. I'm Mark's sister, so was born into the language. Well, we attended the classes since we were very young. I can read very, very well, but I don't understand the words. So I guess I'm trying to learn from my older brother.
Thank you. Sandra.
Hi, I'm Sandra. I'm from San Francisco. I never really learned Coptic. I just taught myself how to read, but I'm not really that good. And it really bothers me how I don't understand during liturgy. So that's really the main reason why I'm here, because I want to pray through Coptic.
Perfect.
Hey, my name is Shian. I'm from the Kitchener Church. I'm actually Syrian Orthodox, but I've been attending Coptic Church for the last 1 year, and I've been fascinated by the Coptic language. So I thought I'll just take some time and learn it.
Awesome. Welcome. Tony. All right. Unknown person. All right. I think that's everyone. Thank you for people who opened their camera, and for everyone who spoke, and for everyone else, of course. Let's move on to a little bit more. Just something I forgot to mention. This is based on Introduction to Sahidic Coptic, which is done by an Egyptologist called Christian Casey. People call him Ben Sakh, means our teacher, and I think he's amazing. And he's one of the inspirations to learn Coptic, where he's a person from Egyptologist from Houston, Texas, did amazing work for Coptic, and I think he's an amazing person when it comes to Coptic and Egyptian, and he speaks the different dialects and everything. So it's pretty fascinating. All right, let's focus on Coptic. So this is Egypt, somewhere. Egypt is in Africa. Egypt will be on your top right. Egypt has this pyramid. People think, and then if you zoom in a little bit more, people tend to think Egypt now, we think of it as a nation state where, it has desert and everything, which is what the borders are like. But when in ancient civilization, Egypt was the green part around the Nile Valley. And that's it. That's basically the Egyptian civilization. So when people just speak of Egypt, it's the green land around the Nile. If you watch any movie, people like to think it's like camels and deserts. In the ancient mind, this was never a thing. Because now we have borders. That's about Egypt. The word Coptic literally means Egyptian. You can trace it back into Coptic from Arabic Gipt, from the Greek Gyptos, and people say that Memphis had the temple of the god yczṭhṭ, which is called ḵⲓṭhṭ, which Egyptos came from. That's the last part is the theory that we think is the most plausible. But eventually Coptic just literally means Egyptian. Here's the map of Egypt. I want you just to see the stretch of the Nile. And just like any other language, Coptic had dialects. Dialect was more of a continuum. It wasn't like smaller spaces, smaller spots, like spots that are different, just a continuum across the Nile Valley. The way the dialects worked is Coptic was very precise in preserving how they say everything. So if they say a sound, they would write it down. If they skip a sound, they write it down. You don't have the mess like though and also and like thou and like, sorry, not thou. Tough, where it's all the same ending, but they pronounce differently. Coptic was, you say an F, you just write an F. You say an A, you just put an A. So every dialect being different wrote it down in the way they said it. So an example be a man is called Romi in Bohairic, Rome in Sahidic. They would just change the E to an A in the writing, so you can read it the same way. Think of it like an Australian and a British and an American writing down English as they speak it, as they say it. you can look at the text and you can find the differences, you can find similarities, and if you're fluent, you will have no problem reading any of them. They're mutually intelligible. So if you're British, you skip all the R's. I don't know if there's an English that would actually put a rolling R instead of the American R. That's not really a rolling R. That's how basic dialects work and the writing. So they look different, but they're basically just how they pronounce things. If you do a P and you do a B instead, you just write it down differently rather than one word that works for everyone. The most major dialects were Sahidic and Bohairic up north. So you had Bohairic where the delta is. It's up north, and this is where Nitra is, and this is where the monasteries are. So when eventually Coptic died, it's the monasteries up north that kept Coptic. So eventually their dialect of Coptic became the church Coptic. Not because it was the most commonly spoken language. Then you have Fayumic, then you have the Oxyrankite, and it's called Bahnasa. Then you have the Linko-Politan, I think that's the Bashmuraya. No, I think I'm wrong. And then you have the Sahidic, that's where Thebes is. And then the Akhmimic, and also the sub-Akhmimic. So Sahidic was actually the urban language. So think of it, if you go anywhere in the States, you have a different accent in New York or in California or Texas, yet there is the American accent, the urban accent that everyone would speak and understand. This used to be the Sahidic, actually, which is why we have a lot of text coming from Sahidic than anything else. And early Egyptologists thought Bohairic is a made-up dialect because there was not a lot of work from it that came early on, but this was false. We actually did find very early text in Bohairic as well. But if you look for Coptic outside the Coptic church, it's almost strictly Sahidic. Yet Bohairic for the Copts is the main thing, because it's one you want to do in church. Ideally, so it doesn't matter which one you learn. Switching between them is very, very easy to some extent. Of course, they share the same grammar, same structure sentence, just a few things here and there, and you can easily translate between them. And hopefully one day we all speak Coptic again, and everyone actually speaks the dialect of his main place of birth, I guess. So that's about dialects. Anything else I missed? Yeah, Sahidic was the urban, and then every village had their own little things, because there was not a lot of communication between small villages, less contact. But when you're urban, you're everywhere. But the Coptic script, you can see, look at this. This is the scale of the Egyptian history. It's 3,000 years, 5,000 years. It's insane. I start with the hieroglyphs. Hieratic was more of a cursive way of writing the hieroglyphs, and then came the Demotic, which is a simplified version, and eventually came the Coptic. And it's very important to know that they overlap. So most of the glyphs overlapped until the Coptic came, and when basically Egyptian culture was restricted to Copts, just eventually Coptic is the thing that carried on. This is the evolution of Egyptian scripts. It comes from the hieroglyphs that you're all very familiar with, then goes into hieratic, which is more written on papers. It's just a simplified version of the hieroglyphs, and then it just gets simplified over time, so people write more. So you can see how they're all connected and coming from each other. And then you have Coptic. Coptic doesn't strictly come from one of them, but it is based on it somehow, but it took a different tour. So you had the hieroglyphs. The Phoenicians took the hieroglyphs and created their own alphabet, or the abjad, based on the hieroglyphs. So they kind of took the picture of what's it called? The birds that we have for letter A, and they just made the letter A, but it was more vertical. Then the Greek took it and make it horizontal. And then eventually the Greek came and became the Coptic script. So it just took a tour. A funny thing you'll see is the word, if you all notice, Baha, from the word pharaoh, pharaoh nimnef harma. The word pharaoh actually comes from what you also know is uro. So the F is actually used to be an aspirated P, so it's like perro or pharaoh, and then the uro or perro in Sahidic went into, I believe, the Hebrew, and then made its way to Greek, and then came back as pharaoh. So you have two distinct words, pharaoh and perro. Ur is king, and pharaoh is the king of the Egyptian. So makes sense, but it just took a tour, just like Coptic did. So it's one of the funny things that you see how cultures intermingle. Coptic, it's, if you know Coptic for the sake of ancient Egyptian, if you want to learn about ancient Egyptian, Coptic is a very good place to start, because you can actually read and see what things sound like. This is, I believe, from late Egyptian. Late Egyptian was written in the New Kingdom about 1300 BC. And it is to some extent mutually intelligible to a Coptic speaker. So think of it like Shakespearean English and English now. A lot of the things that you would see in, so right now, if you want to read this, do you know the J is like a yeah. So it's like yote, en, ente, em, pet. You can find a similarity between, so actually at the bottom, this whole thing at the bottom is the Lord's Prayer in Egyptian, so in hieroglyphs. Not writing Coptic in hieroglyphs, but in actual real grammatically sound hieroglyphs, or late Egyptian presented hieroglyphs. So it's the best way if you want to learn about ancient Egyptian, you start with Coptic, and then you move your way down from late Egyptian, Middle Egyptian, and you get back to the pyramids and the early Egyptians. The book we are going to study is called A Study on Bohairic Coptic by Nabil Matar. I believe you all have access to the syllabus. If not, please let me know. I will be sharing it in a bit. Just see what it looks like. This book, the reason I like it, there's a more popular book called So Do You Want to Learn Coptic, what more people pick up usually. But I really like this book more because it's based on Lamdan, Introduction to Sahidic Coptic, which I think is a phenomenal book. You can study on your own. You can do the course on your own. If you're more interested in Sahidic, just stop attending this class and just go get this book and attend Christian Casey's class in Sahidic. But if you want to do Bohairic for the sake of liturgical and tasbihah, this might be a better option, just because the same words you learn here, you're gonna see at the church right away. So if you're interested more in ancient Egyptian, your best bet would be Sahidic. Just message me and I'll give you all the links that you need to do the Sahidic with an actual Egyptologist. So yeah, just a reminder, Coptic has a connection to Christianity that's more of a historical accent. There is nothing Christian about Coptic, but the Copt's connection to Christianity is, you can see here, this is a cross engraved on an Egyptian monument. There was some sort of a rejection to the pagan religion when the Egyptians adopted Christianity. So one thing they're happy to do is to drop to drop the way they present their language in hieroglyphs, which comes straight up from the temple, like you see, and adopt Coptic, which is based on Greek, based on New Testament. So they're more of a rejection. So it was adopted very, very, very quickly by Christians for the sake of rejecting paganism. It's like, we don't want anything to do with it. I'm not sure if there's hostility between them. I'm gonna guess there was. But eventually this is if you read the Islamic history and then the Christian history, they all just sound the same. But there is nothing very Christian about what we are going to be doing now, except even the example be generic. But if an example that we remember from Tasbihah liturgy, we'll always bring it up. Okay, let's actually start. So we're halfway through the lesson. That's amazing. The structure for the lessons moving forward will be briefly go through the lessons, and then, it will be actually, so let's say we finish, this is class 1. So we're going to start class 2. Class 2, we're going to be going over the homework of the stuff we just learned in the previous lesson. So we're going to, let's say, learn the articles today. There's going to be a homework. Do the homework at home. We don't just discuss it. We actually go through every single question. Please do mistakes. If you mess up somewhere, not mess up. If you're just not sure, there's an opportunity for us to actually dig deeper. So we're going to learn more through doing the lesson. So you study at home, and then we come do it together. If you're unprepared, still please come. We'll figure out together. And then briefly explain the next lesson. And then you go do it on your own, read it more from the book. And then the following week, we just, again, spend more time doing the homework. The homework is when the fun is. It's where you get to practice. If you want to learn more, just please do your homework. Again, we're doing this together. I'll be doing the same thing to get myself better with Bohairic. As I mentioned, for those who weren't there, this is more of a study glyph style, which is there's a course lead rather than a teacher. Just letting you know we're going to be doing this together. Okay, I believe most of you do know how to read. So how about the first lessons about reading? We're going to do something a little bit weird, which is explaining the different readings in Coptic. So there's Old Bohairic, what's called Greco-Bohairic, which is what we sing at the church. So this is for Bohairic. Like dialects, we talk about it, but then everyone all the dialects wrote in how they pronounce it, but then we got the text, we didn't get audio recordings from them. So we're not sure what to do with this letter. So different thoughts appeared in one. Like when you see a janja, what do you do with it? Like what sound does it make? That's the question that people posed. And then there were actually 3 answers. The first one's called Greco-Bohairic, appeared 200 years ago, where we just got Greek, put it on Coptic. I'm like, okay, we're gonna read the Greek the same way we read Coptic. So we read Coptic the same way we read Greek, modern Greek. This is the way that the church reads right now. So this is the one that you're most familiar with. The second option is called Old Bohairic, which is what the Coptic that came to us up until the 18th century. But it came to us, people say it's like, oh, it's a Coptic that survived. That's pretty cool, except it survived by Arabic speakers. So in my opinion, it's very Arabized. It's not close to what used to be spoken in the year 600, just because it's been super Arabized, because the people who kept it just spoke Arabic. Same way, think of English went to Egypt or anywhere else, and English disappeared. And then we look at the Egyptians like, hello, how are you? Can you speak English to me? And it's like, oh, this is the English we learned. So this is what English sounds like. This is basically what Old Bohairic sounds like. So we're not going to use that. The last one, which is my personal favorite, but again, it's complete your choice. Depends on what you want to do with Coptic, is the academic pronunciation, which is, I will be using it for the most part. The academic pronunciation is based on, I don't care what the Greeks are doing. I don't care what you guys received for hundreds of years. We're going to look at the manuscripts, look at the ancient Egyptian, and come up with linguistic secret and magic, what the sounds are. And they come up, and it gets to become super simplified, and it becomes much closer to actually what the church has to some extent. So a few things, I'm going to go over the others very quickly. You can feel free to choose this what's called academic pronunciation, which is my favorite because it's just simpler, and it does eventually make more sense with the grammar, because that's how they came up with it. Or the church approved Coptic, that also works, specifically called the Greco-Bohairic. Both are fine. There's only 2 letters that I will ask you to do them the academic way, because the grammar will not work otherwise. It just flows with the grammar much better. So this is alpha, just an A. The beta is usually a B, but historically it seems like has been a V. Let's actually do something before this. Let's go over the syllabus, because it has some very cool things. And I promise you, in the future, I will not be speaking as fast. This is the syllabus. I hope all of you have it. Date, time, location, meet link for every week. If it ever changes, this is going to be our main source of truth. And suggestion box. If you have any suggestion for me, structure, required material, the book is right here. Just download this book. This is the book we're going to read. Online discussion. This is where you can post your questions on Reddit or at this Discord for Copts. Sorry, not for Copts, for Coptic. So for Egyptian languages in general. And there's a server for Coptic. There's a channel for Coptic. And YouTube, this is where the YouTube will go. Dictionaries are right here. There's every vocab you will need will be in the book, but in case you forget any of them, I just use the dictionary because it's much faster than going through the lessons. Use an app if you have Android that I personally use. And then etymology. And this is actually the etymology. This is where the letters are coming from. The words are coming from. So if you know in Tasbaha we say Chas Shani Ine or Tenchisi Emmo, we exalt the mother of God, and we also know Penchois. This is where I actually tell you they all come from the same place. Where the Lord is someone who's high, comes from the word commander, which is eventually comes from someone who's high. So Chisi and Chasf and Choice come from the same place. Very cool stuff. They come from here. We'll discuss them if they appear. But I use this book occasionally when I look for things like, this sounds like a language that I know. Let me look it up and see if they're related somehow. Crum is the dictionary for Coptic in all dialects. It's hard to use. It's consonant-based, not vowel-based. So it's hard to use, but it's the dictionary to use. And then eventually phonology, if you're interested where the sounds come from, there are actually academics who spend their time working on this. So if you doubt anything and you want to prove me wrong in any way, please do. Like when it comes to sounds, this is where people use as reference. It's yours to play with. The ones I use often is actually the app. That's the one I use. Cerny, I use for fun. And then the Coptic dictionary online is my go-to in general. I have it saved on my bookmarks. That's it. If you don't have access to this, please let me know. Actually, let me just send it in the chat just in case. And always DM me. All right, let's back to our first practice. Okay, so again, B, mostly a B. People just simplify it to a B, but historically we think it was actually more of a V sound. For sake of completion, I'm going to also explain the Greco-Bohairic in case you want to go for it. B, if it comes before a vowel, it's a V. Otherwise, it's a B. If you're getting lost with letters and want to spend more time, the YouTube in the syllabus has letters. There's like this playlist, one of the playlists just has letters, like 10 lessons on letters. Find the ones that you're not sure of, and then I spend like 15 minutes talking about a single letter. So it would be more into if you want to get into actually reading, but assume you know how to read for the time being. But we'll go through it together. Gamma, for simplistic academic, it's just a G sound, like the G sound. Greco-Bohairic has 3 sounds. If it's followed by an A sound, like G or Gi, it becomes a G. Otherwise, if it's followed by a throat sound, a sound that comes from your throat, like Kah or Gh, it's an N, like mango, the N in mango. So it's not really an N, it's like the thing in mango. And then otherwise, it's a Gh sound, so the Ghin in Arabic. D, academic it's just a D. In Greco-Bohairic, it's a D in proper names, DH otherwise as in this. A is A, zeta is just a Z. Eta, in academic, it's a long A. In Greco, it's a long E. Theta is just a TH, like theta. But also, it seems that it could have been an aspirated T, which I can't make, so it's more like ta. But for the sake of argument, just do a theta, it works both ways. Iota is just like a Y, so it's like a short E, it's like E or Y, so you say like ya, yo. K is kappa is K, Lola is Olanda, is L, May is M, N is N, X is just like X sound, just like an X in English. O is a short O. There's debate whether it's the difference between omega and omicron is in the quality or in the length. Most people just go with the length. So an O is just a short O, so you say like kot. If you get to omega, it says like kot. Pi or pei is a P, rho is an R, sigma or sigma is an S, tau is a T, upsilon. This is an interesting one. In Greco, if it's preceded by an A or an A, it's a V. If it's preceded by an O, it's an U. It's an U. Otherwise, it's an E, as in Kyrie. Sake of simplicity, this is one thing I really want you to do it right. Just stick to it as a U or a W. And I'm gonna show you example how it's like more of a wow in Arabic. It's like a wow sound, and it does make a difference once you start doing grammar. Something like клиρονομία that we say in tasbihah, it's like it just doesn't make sense. But if you say клиρονομία, it makes way more sense. The grammar just works out perfectly. So this is one thing I'll ask you just do it the academic way, just for sake of grammar. Eventually, and then fe, that's actually an aspirated P, so pa. For simplicity, we just do an F, but it's actually a PH, which has a different sound, which I can't make, so I just go with an F. K, also it's an aspirated K, so it's like kaha, it's like a KH. Greco, there's 3 ways to do it. If it's followed by an A sound, it's a sha, so like cherubim. If it's in a Greek word, and it's not followed by an A sound, it's cha. So it's like say Christos or charis, like grace. Otherwise, in Coptic words, it becomes a K. For simplicity, I just use a cha if it's Greek, or an aspirated K if it's Coptic. So like the word kimi, the word actually it means Egypt actually uses this letter, but it's a kimi sound. And we know this for a fact for both the fe and the k, because in equivalent in Sahidic and other dialects, it's just a simple K. It just loses the aspiration, like the ha sound part of it, but it doesn't suddenly become a ha. And we know they are considered 2 consonant because some dialects do insert a letter when you have the words start with 2 consonants. So when we see them, we know they're definitely followed by 2 consonants. So it makes sense. Again, that's how the academic comes with this. They look at grammar and like, okay, we think we deduce that this is the case, most likely case. Psa is just a PS. It's actually the word that used for psalmos or psyche for psychology. So you see everywhere. Omega is like, you remember O, micron, small, omega. It's a big O. So it's a long O. There's debate, but for the most part, everyone just uses as O is a short O and Omega is a long O. So kot and kot. Just like the eta here, the eta up top, the iota, if you use the Greco-Bohairic, the iota is short, so like kit and kit. Or using the academic would be like this. It's a short A and long A, so it's a kit and kit. Don't worry about it now. Get better over time. Shy is this is the last letters come straight from demotic. Shy is just a sha. The phi is a f, is an f. Huri is just an h, like h sound. Janja is just a j sound. Just j, like jik or jaji. This is one place where some people say gaji. It makes a lot more sense once you start saying jaji, not gaji, because you know how we say je penyot, or if go emos, the go and the j are the same word. It's just one is shorter because it's followed by something. So it makes more sense that they're just the same sound. So jo and j, they're the same thing. So sticking to jah is better, and it doesn't ruin the hymns if you're singing along with people. These two don't ruin the hymns if you sing along with people. But again, follow the symphony of the people rather than the proper grammar. Last one is cha, just like chima or like choice. It's a chai. Used to come from the sound kia, like ky, but it's been palatized to cha. And then finally, t. You think of it as a tav that has a iota on top, so it's a t, just a t. That's all. I know it's a long for letters, but if you are lost, just check out the YouTube. Check the letters that you're not unsure of. But we're gonna be doing some practice now. Any questions? Okay, I hope I didn't bore you or lost you. Okay, this is where it gets fun. I will call upon people. You are free to participate or not, just like before, to start reading, and we're gonna do word by word. Okay, so let's start with alphabetically. That's how it's sorted here. Adam, just the first word. So once there's a space, just stop. Someone
J.
long or short. Sorry, say that again.
J.
Amazing. Okay, Carol.
Penyot.
Thank you. David.
Etchen.
Perfect. And then Joseph, I won't be talking. That's perfectly fine. No problem. If I forget, just let me know. And Matthew.
Nifiowi.
Okay, let's do it because it will matter once you start learning the grammar, how things get longer. I know you say if you owe at the church. Me too. I'm in class. No problem, Tony. Just again, two sounds. I will be a little bit more picky on to ask you to change it a little bit. It will be anything with the epsilon here and the janja, just because of the sake of grammar. So when you see an omicron epsilon or an epsilon on its own, but usually it comes with omicron epsilon, think of it as a wah sound. So it's like a wow in Arabic. So if it's followed by a vowel, just use a wah, like a W. And you know, a W is actually just a U, like a U, but a W. So it's the oo sound. And then it becomes a wah when it's followed by a vowel. So in this case, can you read it as a wah sound?
So like, you're talking about the Omicron, right?
Yes, the Omicron epsilon. They come as a package together.
So Nifiwi?
Perfect. Nifiwi, yes.
Okay.
Yes. And once you start learning about how the grammar works, especially for the plural, you will see how it start making sense. So for the sake of just do nifiwi if it's followed by a vowel. Otherwise, just an oo sound. If you know Arabic, it's like a wow. Makes your life easy to know. Think of it as a wow. All right, Mikey.
Marif Tuvo or Tuvo.
Perfect. Marif Tuvo. That's perfect. Monica.
NJ.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Sandra.
Picron.
Perfect. Sheehan, let's do it together. I know. Do you not want to talk, or do you want to try it out together?
Maybe I'll just learn the alphabets first before
Okay.
Try. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to try the first two letters? Just try them for me.
I actually don't know where we are because I have zero idea about the alphabets.
Okay. So we are in. Let me see if I can do this. We are in here. Oh, I should have done this. Sorry. We are in here. So can you just read this part? First three letters. So here's the M.
M
Mm-hmm.
Ma, Alpha A,
Mm-hmm.
and R.
Okay, perfect. Let's add two more. This one.
E,
That's an A. So that would be an A.
A. Okay.
A. And then one last one for me. One last one for me. Where did it go? Where's the C? Here we go. Where's the C?
S.
Yes.
S.
Okay. And then finally, just the last one for me.
I.
So there'll be an E.
E. Okay.
Yeah. Try it out all together.
Mer.
Mm-hmm.
Mer. E. C.
Close. Yes. Ma.
Merisi.
Coptic. The alpha is always an A, so there'll be Marisi.
Marisi.
Marisi. Perfect. I didn't mean to trick you. I just thought you're doing great. Let's keep going. All right, Tony. Oh, Tony doesn't speak. Yes, and this is an unknown person. All right. Raise your hand if you want us to keep reading one more time. Okay, David wants. Okay, David, do you want to try this?
I lost your cursor. I'm not sure.
Yes.
Yeah. NG.
Okay, give me one more.
κυဋⲓ�ⲉ
Perfect. Adam, can I go ahead?
蜱ТHⲓ
One more.
Marafshopi.
Perfect. Anyone else wants to read? Raise your hands. All right. Okay. Okay. So I guess most of you are comfortable with reading. Reading will come more natural as we do more exercises. We will be doing a lot of exercises, so it should be fine. Monica, did you want to read? Monica, raise your
Sure.
hand. Okay. Give me 3 words. This one.
Emefriti,
Mm-hmm.
geen,
Mm-hmm.
itfe,
Mm-hmm.
nim,
Mm-hmm.
ijen.
That's it. Also remember if you actually you're fine. Hijen, yes. This is more of a short one, like hijen, and you can see why later. Perfect. That's the Lord's Prayer. We finished most of it. Let's get to the fun part, which I think it's fun, where we start doing grammar. It's not scary. All right. We are going to use our book. You have the book, you can follow, but you don't really have to if you don't want to, because I'll just share it all here. Okay, so we are going to be using a study in Bohairic Coptic by Nabil Matar. Again, it's based on Lamdens, which is my personal favorite. The book looks, once you look at the index, it looks huge. It does, but it's actually more, for me, was exciting. Like, wow, I'm going to learn some cool stuff. And don't worry, our job here is to make it super simple, super easy. Hopefully. Actually, it will be, God willing. So if you look at our content, it will look weird and a lot of fancy words, like the word conjunctions. You don't have to worry about any of this right now. We will get there, and there's a lot of exercises. We're basically going to spend our time in exercises, and please do mistakes because it actually gives us more time to spend on things. This book has, in the very beginning, it has a lot of things that are more like, introduced to the church. So it's a exercise to the reader. So this part here and this part here. So this part will be yours to do if you want to. I'm going to be focusing on grammar. Similarly here, the alphabet, it uses the Greco-Bohairic. So feel free to use it if that's what you want to do. No problem, except remember the janja and the epsilon, because you will see them more often in the, in the grammar. Yeah, I think you can see my cursor, I hope. we will be doing just these parts right here, the articles and some prepositions. That's it. And the definite nouns. Yeah, that's it. So let's start. I will jump to page, what is it? Page 48. Yes, Coptic nouns. It's a little bit delayed. My screen sharing is a little bit delayed. Hopefully, I make it on time. Awesome. So in Coptic has masculine and feminine, which for people it does refer to your gender as well. But also in some words it's arbitrary. So we're going to see example where you can say the earth is so here are some examples. You have a word like yacht. Wait, it's loading. Maybe I should get in. Okay, for next time I'll get smaller parts of the book so it can load a little bit faster. It's a bit delayed. So you can see in the masculine have yot, obviously masculine. That means father. But I also have random words like kahi, which means earth, is also masculine. So it's a little bit arbitrary when it comes to, just like French, say le and la, and it's like la table for no reason. It's feminine. Similarly, for feminine, you have a word like maf, which means mom, obviously feminine, and then you have a word like fe, which means heaven. There's no reason why kahi is masculine and fe is feminine. You can think of it as the goddess. Maybe used to be in like ancient Egyptian, it was the goddess of heavens. Not sure, but when it comes down to Coptic for us, it's arbitrary. There's not usually, there are some indicators, but they're not the most common, so you just know them. Just like French, you just get used to them. Here's a word of advice. When you learn vocab, learn it with the article. So if you want to say the word rock is oni, just learn it as pony. It will make your life easy, so you can know if it's feminine or masculine. Coptic is a very gendered language. Just the gender is used everywhere. Some words are different when it comes to masculine and feminine, with a little bit of a change. So you have a word like son, so like pason, means it means brother, and then the word like soni, which means like mother. Sister. Sorry, brother and sister. You know how I say tasoni? It just means my sister. Shiri mefnuti. So again, son, and then daughter would be sheri. So if you use about Saint Mary, probably use the word sheri, and then hanchi, remember في التسبيحة hanchil shiri, hanchil lo. Hello just means an old person, and then the feminine actually has the same structure as which one? I think as this one. Sorry, never mind. Some of them do change, but it's not the rule. It just happened to be. So that's the first part. Most of the from singular. The second part we have is the number. So we have plural and singular. For most words, actually almost all words do keep how they look like in singular and in plural. Some of them do choose to change. So you have a word like yot, his father. The plural is yoti. So if you want to say the God of our father, if noti intinin yoti, that would be yoti, which is the plural of if yot. Son becomes no, and then you have isneu. That would be the plural, but it can become son, so you can actually keep just ni son, so the brother if you want to. And then finally something like joy is a ship, and then the plural is egeo or egeo. That would be the plural, but again, you can actually treat this as a plural just fine. They just tend to be more depending on the context and just a little bit more popular, but both of them work just fine. The way we actually tell the difference is through the article. So once we start learning grammar, there are very important things that we have to you have to know. In French, you probably know feminine always has an e, ends with an e. If you see a lot of e, you know it's a feminine. If you have an s, you know it's plural. Coptic has a similar structure where the p and the t and the n, the p always refers to masculine. The ta always refers to feminine, and then the n always refers to plural. And you build on this everything. You want to say this, you say pai, tai, nai. So tai shuri, pai eho'u, nai something. You want to say this is like this. If you want to say mai, you say pa or ta. So payot, tamav, na snow. What else? Basically, yeah, that's basically, and then once actually, yeah, definite articles like p, t. Remember, maybe just learn this in English actually better. So this is the p based, t based, and then n based. The reason is so in the Coptic, actually, skip this part. So the different articles are p. There's something called a special article called ep, and sometimes it changes to f. So remember we said f is a ph or an aspirated p. So remember when you see an f on an fe, it's not random, just a f. The p sound becomes a f sound, like we say efiot. It's actually more like towards like epiot, but it's more aspirated or more of a ph, a sound that I'm sorry I can't make, but it's p based. So this is an ep. This is called these two are the same. Sorry, so these two are called special article. The rule of thumb about this is when you say piyot is more specific. It's like saying the father. So nice that it works out like English. So you say the father. But if you say epiot or epiot, feels more right. It's just like the father. But p would be the father. If you say ifnuti, it's God. If you say pinuti, it's like the God or the God. You're very specific on what you're doing. It's more of an emphasis that you add. Similarly, the exact same thing we're doing here, and in the masculine, we're gonna convert it to a t, and then eventually for the plural, it's actually simple. It's just a ni. If you read, I will explain to you where the f comes from before some sounds, which is called vlimner. The p sound naturally becomes aspirated. So the p becomes a ph. You add an aspiration simply just because of the nature of the word. If you stick to p and ep, you're fine for now, but f is very, very common. And you will just know it. You don't say epnuti, you just say efnuti. You say efiot. Actually, this one's actually vilnur. There's also this one. That's pretty much all. Yes, these are the letters. We said Vlimner or Vilnur, because you also have the iota and the u, one that actually comes as a u, which is, we know it's a wow, and you're going to see it later. So again, make sure you learn all this. Like I want you to just, when you go home, we're just introducing, again, so that's the structure we're going to be doing moving forward. We're almost done, which is good. We're almost on time. We're going to be briefly going over the lessons, explain the things, and then you go home, just study it on your own, please. Do the homeworks, and then next week we're actually going to spend our time translating. Most of our work we're just going to be spent translating things and going over the rules as we're translating them. One last part I want to do before I let you go with the exercise is the prepositions. Yeah, it's just right here. '94. Okay. The prepositions in Coptic, in manuscripts, tend to be stuck to the word and actually make part of the word. So when you say Peniot etchenni fiwi, it's actually just like a whole thing, and then the stress comes near, and the answer say etchenni fiwi. We're gonna learn them. Let's just introduce a few of them, which is what you need for the assignment, for the homework. We have chen. Chen means like in. We're gonna later on actually study the prepositions more in depth, but chen literally means in the belly of. So all the preposition in Coptic, for the most part, come from like body parts, like two words, something like, you know, hijen or like hitan is like through the hands, or hijen means to the head of. We're gonna study this more in details in lesson 8. But just for now, just know khin just means in. But if you want to know more, it actually means in the belly of. But no one uses this way. Again, this is where it came from. He is on. Next one is a. A means to or towards. More literally, in exchange of. So, well, actually, when we say in our father, kanit erun, basically, it's not forgive what is to us. It's like forgive what is exchanged to us. So, but it does means toward. There's a direction involved in it. But it gets more subtle as we get more into verbs with preposition. Like throw up and throw down, or like two different things. Or throw out and throw up. They're different things. So with preposition, you can change the meaning a little bit. A always indicate a direction towards something. And we're going to explain more later in the preposition that actually Coptic and preposition work in reverse of English. They point to where things started from rather than where they fell from, where they are going to. So when you say I'm getting off the chair, you actually say I got from on the chair rather than I got out or up. So a refers to a. Nim just means end. You obviously this a lot. From nim ifyot, nim pshiri. That's it. Kha is under. So remember we have, if you have a table, this is he, and this is kha. And Carol made a song for it one time. It's like, I don't know, he, kha, nim, hen. Just make up your own songs. So he is above, kha is under. He jen is on top of, literally means on the head of. So jen is an ancient word for head. Now we use the word up here, and he is on top of. So if this is you, this is he jen you. This is he jen. And if you see the word jen, it's actually towards you. So if you say hijan, it always means we translate to above or on top. Hijan also means above or on top, but hijan means there's direction towards you, top of you. Hijan just means on top of you. We're gonna take that in details more later toward lesson 8. So that's pretty much it. Yes, Mike.
So I have a question about hijan or ijan.
Yes.
In liturgy, when we say like tovijan, how does
Pray
that
over.
translate?
So 2 ways. A lot of verbs. So you say tovijan.
Yeah.
This is a verb with a preposition, just like I mentioned, like throw up or throw down or throw out or throw anything, or set up, set down, set out. The preposition does not necessarily literally means what it means. When it comes to the verb, it forms a compound meaning. So let's say the word sotim. Can you guess what the word sotim is? Probably no.
No, yeah.
So sotim means listen, but if you say sotim and sa, it actually means listen behind, which just means obey. The same way in Arabic you would say isma, basmak, or isma kalam. Just like when you say the word kalam, just means obey. Basma kalam. The word for obey is actually.
I see.
So
it changes its meaning based on the words it's with.
Yes. So the word we mentioned tasbaha tin uwehen sok. Tin uwehen sok, we just say we follow you.
We follow you.
Uweh actually is the root word of the word oasis. It means to dwell. So when you say, and insa, we said means behind. So when we say we follow, but it's more like we dwell behind you. And that is taken to mean we follow you. Like, not like I follow you like I'm walking, but like I'm in your back. Like you'll find me anytime you look behind you, you'll find me. So that's the nice thing about Coptic. Once you know a little bit, twin and soak means we literally dwell behind you. But eventually the word comes to mean this. I have to. Thanks, Mark. See you next week. Thank you, David. We'll see you next week. And we are done, so you're not missing out on anything. This is going to be the last part. Yeah. But yeah, if you say hijan tetrapeza, so over the table. But if you say I want to put it over the table, I would say ijan. But that's for later.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. That's pretty much all. Again, homework. Please do it to practice. There are some vocabs. So with every lesson, there's a vocab. You need to do the homework, and it will help us in the next in the next lesson. So please do it. And that's it. We are going to be doing the translation. There's going to see a lot of things like here. It's going to be an exercise for the reader. For all of what we'll be doing is actually just translating. So you can look at Coptic and you can comfortably just know what it means. One last part before I leave you. The last part, starting 8, are full sentences. Actually, sorry, that's the next lesson. Wait, I think I missed something. Yes, sorry, I missed something very important. Let's do it quick. Sorry, my bad. Sentences. The way you do sentences in Coptic, nominal sentences, like sentences that have nouns, start with nouns and end with nouns, are exactly like Arabic. So if I want to say, the man is on the boat. In Arabic, it would be literally the man upon the boat or on the boat. There's no is. In Afro-Asiatic languages, so anything that's not Indo-European, anything that's not European or Indian, there's no verb to be. Actually, it's not even verb to have. You just say the man on the boat. So if you look at an example here, you can say Ifromi, the man on the boat. الراجل فوق المركب. That's it. That's a full sentence in Coptic. There is no concept of verb to be. If I want to say I am here, I just say Tiamau. That's it. I'm here. I here. The man is on the boat. That's in English. In Coptic would be the man on the boat. The man. So هنا تسخيمي, the woman in the house. The woman is in the house. Or in Arabic, الست في البيت. That's it. That's a full sentence. In Coptic, you just don't have this. Here's the example of there. So just say the boats there. Means the boats are there. Again, in Coptic, there's no verb to be, or even in Arabic, because it's an Afro-Asiatic language, you just say المركب هناك. That's a fully intelligible sentence. Good thing that I caught this, because in the lesson, in starting question 8, write full sentences for the homework. They're full sentences, like fully grammatically correct English sentences when you translate to English. That's it. Glory be to God forever and ever. Amen. I think we are on time, plus 5 minutes, which is good because we started 5 minutes late. Any questions? Sandra, go ahead.
Sorry, just to clarify, the homework is the exercises for chapter 4 or 1 through 4?
I don't think there are any more exercises. Just do this. Just do lesson 4, the first part. So lesson 4 is big. For some reason, this book doesn't break down the lessons well. Just do the ones on page 115 of the PDF, which is lesson 4, first part, first exercise. It's called exercise on some prepositions. This one.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. And don't forget to cite the vocab because you need for translation. Any more questions? Why no?
A quick question.
Yes.
So the Sahidic syllabus has a Anki for the Sahidic equivalent. Is there a similar one for Bohairic?
I need to look for more. There aren't a lot of. I think there are some material for Bohairic. I'll look for them. A lot of these were made by people attending the lesson, and throughout the time they just start adding and creating more for their own benefit. So if the Lord moves your heart one time, please do it. I'll look for a few more. I did stumble upon a few and I'll add it to the syllabus. Yes, but nothing from this book. But yeah, hopefully one time someone will do it.
God willing.
All right. Any more questions? Why? No. From two. All right, that's a wrap. Thank you so much for attending. I will see you next week. Remember, the format will be just go over to spend all of our time going over the homeworks and then introduce the next chapter. Today I know is a little bit more intense because there's an intro and we're introducing